Alright, hello and welcome to Live Live for X installment 72. Hey, that's the number that I have at the end of my username. Coincidence? Absolutely probably, but we're going to reach this number eventually. It's cold. I'm going to put a hat on maybe. It is a rather cold, kind of chilly evening. I do have the heating and stuff on, but it's one of these, like, I live in what's called a static house, so yeah. Welcome to the live. So this one will be longer. The last couple lives, the last two haven't even been an hour long. They've just been short. But my goal with tonight's live is to have a really long one. Oh, and by the way, I want to thank everybody. See, so far in March, I've got over 51,000 views on the channel. So it's been successful. I'm not feeling too great. I'm going to have this in By the way, are you cold? Are you cold? I'm really cold. No too much beans. No, it's fine. I'm happy. I'm just happy that I've got food. I'm no bothered if it's not the right ones. But yeah, here we are. So the last couple of lives, as I've been saying, I've only been half an hour long, or give or take. So the first one only been half an hour long, as you know, we were playing, we were doing the Simpsons game stuff, and what happened? My work phone that had to go in, but you know what? It's more money that you'll see represented here in a future live stream where I'm looking to buy something really big. Obviously, every so often I do the live builds or build a set. I'm looking for something really big that look like we can make last like a week's worth of streams building. So I'll give it the budget to do so. The second one ended because I had to get up. This was last night. I was originally told to get up like being work for 5 a.m. See, the minute I ended the live to get ready to go to bed, I got a phone call literally saying, "Oh, by the way, don't come in till 7." Like, I could have streamed for another hour. Thanks. I don't know if I didn't tell them that. But you know what I mean. So I'm just going to prep the place. We're pretty much going to be doing the shelving, maybe some gaming. I don't quite know yet. I've not really thought that far ahead. But again, as I was saying before, I had to go grab some for stuff there. Thank you very much to you guys, because over 50,000 channel views in 5 days. It's like that's like 10,000 views a day at this point. Keep in mind, right? My channel, this has been the biggest year my channel has had in its 11-year history, right? Full stop. Because I've been looking. This is really the first year that I've properly tracked like my stats and stuff in YouTube Studio and stuff like that, and been going through all of it. I'm just reorganizing the bed and stuff here. I was out at work pretty much all day. Comment and going through the stats. So last year, all my videos put together, all the views, it was 87,000 something, right, for the whole year. Keep in mind, right, this year has been big. So far this year, I've gotten over 170,000 views and over 400 subscribers. I think last year, I only got like a small handful of subscribers, but last year I wasn't putting in the time. So this year has proven... No, like I have gotten 415 subscribers this year. So far this year, I've gone over 170,000 channel views, right? Granted, the shorts are a big part of that, but that's what I do like about the shorts. They are brilliant for stuff like that. And pretty much, I'm just going to continue to do it. I mean, I don't know why, right? I hope someone can field this for me. Someone who's... You know what? Thank you very much. I'm hoping someone can field this for me, right? Someone who understands like meme culture and stuff a bit better than I do. I uploaded this video, this short yesterday, right? And it's, hey, I want to see my dogs, right? it's like I did it and I had the ATTE, and then Coach was like, "Hey, that's a cute dog. Wait, this is Executioner. Oh wait, that's not a dog, right?" I will get into that in a moment, comment. And it's the audio. It's one with the ATTE short that I posted. It's like, "Hey, you want to see my dog? This is Executioner." Oh, and then it's the other one, right? And I showed Cloud City. Hey, that's not a dog. Why the hell does that have over 8,000 views? That's like the most any of my shorts have done. That's gotten more views than some of the YouTube videos I've actually full on one of them. So you want advice on collecting clone troopers, right? I do have a few. I'm going to turn the light on the cabinet here. I do actually have some advice on this subject that I could give. I do have dogs in the background. I might bring them in. I have a few dogs. But like the short I made essentially got Barry. Yeah. Advice on collecting clone troopers. So I no longer do, but I once had every Lego clone trooper they'd come out with. Basically, towards the end of 2024, I made a video, right? And this video was every Lego clone trooper 2002 to 2024 in front of me, right? And I made a video going through them all. Now, obviously, since 2024, they released a whole bunch of clones in 2025. They've released maybe some this year, I've not checked. But essentially, my advice of collecting clone troopers, right? There's the ones that will always be expensive, right? Maya. There. There's the clone troopers that will always be expensive, comment, that you will struggle. I just did. Mate. It's like Maya, but without the I. I don't know how you would say that. I don't. Mia? I'm not great with pronunciation. You know what? That's the best I can do. I tried. There's clone troopers out of, so at the time, I think there was under 100 clone troopers in existence. So there's certain clone troopers, comment, that you will have bother trying to find, right? At least for a good price, right? So, May. All right. So there's some clone troopers that will always be prohibitively expensive. For example, right? We'll take you over the case. So the Kashyyyk clone trooper from 2005, right, is one of the ones that will always be expensive. They're just, I'd never see these guys cheap, right? Commander Fox will always be expensive. Wolf, yes. The Shadow Earth Trooper, definitely. The Shock Trooper and Wolfpack Clone Trooper, right? I'll bring one of the dogs through later on in the stream. I've literally just fed them. I'm going to leave them on. The Shock Trooper and the Wolfpack Clone Trooper, those two could always come down in value if they were to release more Wolfpack Clone Troopers. You know, an example, this is a 2013 Phase 1 Clone Trooper. You will always be able to find those cheap and plentiful. Same with a 2013 501st Trooper. A clone trooper like the 501st Pilot does sell for a little bit of money, 25-30, but you can usually get a deal on those. It's stuff like that. See, a lot of my clone troopers, I buy them in bulk. That's kind of how I have some of the ones that I do. Like, I don't keep the majority of my clone troopers out. A lot of them are boxed up in here. The army stuff is in there, if that helps. I'm not going to disturb the dogs, man, while they're eating. But essentially, it depends. Like, if you want to collect all the Lego clone troopers, there's ones that will be hurdles. I'm not disturbing my dogs while they're eating, all right? Not going to happen. Like, you can unsubscribe if you like. That's your business, man. But it just depends what ones you're going after, because there's always the most expensive Lego clone trooper, right? Because my dogs are eating. Right, so my personal advice on those minifigures. So if Captain Rex, right, he was only in his Phase 1 version, was only ever in 2 sets. He was in the 7.6, 7.5 ATTE from 2008. where he doesn't have an antenna, he actually has a visor. And then he was in the Battle for Geonosis set in 2011, where they give him the antenna. That counts as two different minifigures, right? Comment, one thing I do recommend you do, because I don't have all the info off the top of my head, it's been almost 2 years. Go watch my video on every Lego Clone Trooper. It's one of my highest viewed videos. Well, it was at the time anyway. Essentially, those counters do different Rexes. Now, the only parts of Captain Rex that are special, there's another way you could buy them is you could get a regular Clone Wars Clone Trooper, right? Because the torso print, Rex never had a special one. He had blue arms, which you can buy for cheap. His helmet and face are the only part of him that are special. So if you just wanted to buy those parts, there's a way in there. Commander Cody, he was in 2 sets as well. He was in the 7676 Republic gunship from 2008, where he has the full armor. Then he was in the Geonosian Starfighter from 2011, where he has half armor. The half armor version's always a little bit cheaper. Essentially, you get the pistols and you get the visor, but you don't get the Carmarthen Pauldron, but it looks a little bit cleaner. That figure you can pick up cheaper than Rex. Wilf is one of those clone troopers you'll struggle to get a deal on. Now, like Rex, the only special part of him is his head and his helmet. Again, that Republic frigate set from 2011 is a very valuable set, so you're going to have a little bit of problem there. The problem is these sets have went on in years. Oh yeah, you easily. Because here's the thing, right? I was in the Lego community. I was collecting and stuff back in 2011. And one thing I'll remember is more people bought the Geonosian Starfighter than they did the Battle for Geonosis. The Battle for Geonosis gave you multiple Captain Rexes and would have given you multiple Luminaras, so that wasn't a big draw. But at the time, people were building loads of stuff with Geonosis. So the £25 Geonosis Starfighter sold like crazy. But again, Wolf will be difficult. Fox as well. So Fox was only in one set, the Spider Droid, the Separatist Spider Droid from 2008. And unfortunately, Lego no longer do Clone Wars specialized figures anymore. They haven't done for probably about nearly 10 years. So the ones that are in the Clone Wars animation style, yes, people say they're ugly and whatever, but I like the uniqueness that they had. They're just getting more difficult to get. Personally, when it comes to the Clone Troopers, you can either go official, but the custom route for those characters is also quite good. There's like more detailed versions, but keeping them in the Clone Wars-esque style. And honestly, those don't look too bad either. There's many ways to go down the path, to be honest with you. I'm an army builder, right? So I typically buy clones in big bulks. But right now, I'll show you what clone trooper I'm trying to get my hands on. For me, I know you're trying to get the commanders, but when it comes to phase 1, I want more of these guys. So this is my display, right, of all the complete Saga characters that I'm working on. I've got a big order coming in from Brick Rebellion sometime this month, which will fill out a lot of the gaps. Yeah, a lot of these figures are custom made. A lot of people are asking about that throughout the shorts. Yes, these are pretty much mostly custom minifigures. Like, all these Jedi here were custom made. Han Solo, there's a custom made. These Kaminoans are custom made, and I bet a lot of people really like those Kaminoans. They featured in a short I made earlier. But the Clone Trooper next to them, so this is the original Lego Clone Trooper from 2002. That's a minifigure I'm after more for the Clonari. But those were only in 2 sets. Excuse me, got a bit against there. They're only in 2 sets in 2002. 2002 and 2003, so they're not exactly cheap. They're like 25 each. I have one up here, which is part of this display, by the way. I'll have a new episode of this coming out on the channel soon. I'm currently just in the process of editing some stuff for it. Okay, so there's a little bit of a preview if you want. One of my coolest clones that are custom, though, Comet. The Disguise clone from LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. You can't go wrong there. That looks pretty damn cool. I think we'll agree. But no, Comet, like, the money you would spend on... I don't even know what some of those custom clone troopers are worth anymore. Not custom, official ones. See, I bought all those commanders years ago, so I don't know what the current market value is on those, if I had to guess. As of now, Comet, there's only one clone trooper I've been keeping an eye on the value of, really, and it's this one over here. So that I have two of these. One's in here. One we will be putting back on the display hopefully tonight. But this is the 2005 Kashyyyk Clone Trooper, and that's a pretty cool looking one. That minifigure came in this set, the 2005 Turbo Tank, and I'll admit I have two of them. They are rare, really rare figure. I'm planning to buy more of them. I want at least like 4 in my clone, but every couple of years I'll maybe buy another one. But I'm currently keeping track on the value of those, so maybe next payday, that's a figure I'm going to grab, because I do a yearly Clone Army video. It's going to be one of the ones I want for that video. But have you got any more questions on that subject, Comet? So I really should make a buying guide type thing on LEGO Star Wars, because I do own some of the craziest stuff, which I managed to get deals on. It's been a requested video topic for a while. I'm just going to sort out this cable here for the controller, but if you want to comment anything you want to see, that'd be great. I am interested in your feedback. Like, Comet, by the way, has been like one of my biggest like people on here in terms of commenting. Shout out to him, by the way. Something though, Comet, that will always be rather unfortunate in terms of LEGO collecting is Captain Rex's minifigures will always be worth a bit of money. Maybe not the new one, but the old ones. Because see, when it comes to the advertising stuff for Clone Wars back in the day, Rex was a big part of it. So he's like he's what most people associate with LEGO Star Wars, the Clone Wars. So that'll be one of those things. His LEGO versions will always be valuable. Because when it comes to LEGO Star Wars waves that are legendary with a lot of nostalgia, 2008-9 Clone Wars sets, I'm up there with a lot of nostalgia for those waves. I'll get this set up first and then we'll go from there. I like to put on some background noise, but we'll be sorting out minifigures for a while.
5 million really YouTube views to test where you can just pay your way to YouTube success. And this video is going to reveal my costs, my analytics, and all the results I got. But you might be wondering, how could you actually pay your way to YouTube success? Now, there are 6 main ways to buy views on YouTube, and the goal of this video.
1 second, guys. I'll be right back.
I've just got all my tea up.
Is it a lot of sick or you gonna lie down then? Oh yeah. I'm just gonna have my dinner and go. Aye. Aye. Can you get can he grow quite big or is he gonna be small like that? Can they get quite big, the pond? Well,
He's just nice, he's not got too big.
oh,
It's a shame because it's no showing.
right. Is he a toy one by any chance? Is it like how you get the small poodle?
He's toy.
Ah, the tiny ones, right.
He's always been toy.
Oh, yeah. It's me. Yeah, you know, wait for me.
Oh, I can't believe it. I just took a teaspoon. Just walk come up. What's the rest of the toilet? Give us paper pancakes.
Right.
All right, I'm back. Hey there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at on things. Eventually, I've got a series that I'm currently doing editing work for, right? And it's because people have been asking me about the many manufacturers that were used in this that have been getting used in this series to make a lot of these figures. I'm finally getting into demand and making actual series going, you know, who did what work, and I'll do an episode on each manufacturer who's in it. Because there's a few cool manufacturers who have made some of the custom stuff for that. Tell you what, I'm going to put on this random video by this YouTuber I watch, just as background noise while I get started with the figures.
That's no longer relevant. That's probably not the sort of thing you should do on YouTube. Not really good for the algorithm. But here we are. I thought I'd do a video
Right then,
about the Southwestern Railway logo. This
let's get started.
specifically the symbol here. See, this is a little bit embarrassing, but I must have seen it about 1,000 times and never once given a thought. As I say, it's technically not really relevant these days anyway, being as how Southwestern Railway is now part of Great British Railways, although I understand that at present the old train operators are operating much as they've always operated, regardless of the change in management. In other words, while it's part of GDR, it's still...
Right, so we're still not doing any of the figures. We need parts put back on. I'll give you a quick preview of what we're working with. So we're pretty much just sorting out all these figures, getting them back on the shelves. Rancor, original Jabba the Hutt. What else we got in here? This bag here is pretty much just most of my Clone... Well, it's spilling out now, but Clone Wars figures. So we're just going to be reorganizing this. We've got Ki-Adi-Mundi there, Controver, Magna Guard, Rot of the Hutt, Eve Caw, who else we got here? Ki-Adi-Mundi again, Clone Wars Obi-Wan, Racco Hardeen, K3PO, regular C3PO printed like Stormtrooper. So we're going to be going through pretty much all of this and re-adding it to my shelving.
See, Southwestern Railway took over in 2017, but the actual
Adding it back to that since we recently changed up the shelves and cleaned them.
way
So any figures who have parts have fallen off,
give or take.
they're going straight back in that box. I'm not, oh excuse me, I don't really want to deal with those right now specifically, so I'm waiting out on that.
The earliest version of this was proposed in 1825 and would have been an 18.
So let's see what we got here. Cat Cloudtrooper, he needs a helmet. Anakin needs his hair and his lightsaber. Because you know when you put them in a box and you're rummaging through the box, accessories fall off or just what have you. Got a good to go Arth Trooper from 2011. He's going up here next to the ATOT, right over there. We've got one of the modern Lego Shock Troopers. He's pretty much just going to be going over here next to the V19 Torrent. Kind of I'm keeping some of the more modern ones. Like they're on display, but they're not the main focus of the display. Bomb Squad Trooper, but he needs helmets and stuff. That's one of the more modern regular clones. He's going to go over here. And what I'll do is, you'll notice as I'm producing, because I produce shorts daily, you'll see through those and through this stream that the shelves are really taking on. It looks so nice right now. We got the 2008 Clone Commander, who was part of the Republic fighter tank back then. So he'll be going in front of this Republic gunship here. I love this shelf, like this era of Lego, the Clone Wars era, 2008-13, love that stuff. We got, I'm going to mix that up the pile a bit so we're not just throwing Clone Wars figures out every 2 minutes, or every 2 seconds, rather. Let's see what we got. We got a Clone Trooper who it's one of the Rancor Battalion ones from 07, not 07, 2012, but he needs a helmet. We got the Wampa from 2010. We're going to get him down at the Wampa Cave. That's a set I plan on getting a review out this year. I can't believe that's a 16-year-old set. That still feels like a recent set to me. So what have we got here? We got Chancellor Palpatine from 2012. 2012 in terms of Lego Star Wars is one of my favorite years. Just the nostalgia of some of those sets is crazy. Palpatine with the lightning and stuff look pretty cool. Let's get him on his set.
Station was originally called Kingston, but it was located about half a mile from the actual Kingston upon Thames, in the middle of nowhere.
This is the ARC Trooper, which was also from 2012. Really cool figure. He will be going in front of the AT-OT. Got most of his men inside that, because I've got, at one point I was going crazy army building the that battalion of clones. Got a Hoth Rebel Trooper here from 2012. That's the Advent Calendar one. He can go there on the Hoth display. We got a Mace Windu variant, but it's not the Clone Wars one specifically, so it's going in this other shelf where I've got loads of random Jedi and stuff. I want to get lighting for these, the little tap lights or remote ones. So, if anyone watching, got my hair in my mouth there, knows a good type of light that I can buy to stick on these that are remote control, but not the strips, let me know. Because that would be great. I have a lot of reach on TikTok with people who do that kind of stuff, so I'll ask there. Some bits need some parts put back on. If anyone here knows something, that'd be great. Barris, but needs our hood put back on. That's one of those mini figures from the Jabba sail barge. I'm not going to deal with those right now. Boba Fett needs a helmet. Clone Trooper needs a helmet. Oh, here's a cool figure from 2010. Orto Platonia Anakin Skywalker. It's a really cool one. We've got Anakin there. That's a Arth Trooper helmet. Battle of Endor Leia. Put her up here.
What am I getting at with all this? Well, it's a demonstration of how the decisions of history echo down to the present day. In it, the Southwestern
Rail is secure, but needs a headpiece on. Killer and Beck, but needs his lightsabers. We've got my other 05 Kashyyyk clone. Got the 2020 Suit Off Airborne. I figured that a lot of people consider it to be like one of the last great Lego clone troopers.
It was intended to from the start. But the network's real bread and butter is a market that its original builders never even dreamed of.
We've got Zuckuss from 2019. He can go up here with the bounty hunter scene from Empire. We got some of the more modern ones. The Mace Windu clone troopers, the 187th Legion clones.
Well, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do leave a like and
There we go. Again, if anyone wants me to show certain parts of the shelf, that all good. Hey there, how's it doing? That is a Kashyyyk clone trooper, not Kashyyyk, Geonosis clone trooper, which is again a Legion that Lego made that I often forget existed. I don't know where am I going to put these guys. Ah, put them over there. I only have like one of each with those. It's not something I ever on about. Right, so this is Ted Nup. He's going to go. You go in all the Rebel Alliance stuff in there. Problem solved. Santa Darth Maul from 2012. Pretty cool figure there. I put him in half because, you know, Christmas. Vader needs his accessories put back on. So does Newt Gunray. Needs his hat. That's Brick. Got a regular old Phase 1 animated style clone trooper. Pretty cool clone trooper there. It's the one that's got the nostalgia behind it. And it's probably a clone trooper that I will never stop buying in mass. Like, I don't know if I'd get bored of that as a collector. That Mace Windu needs his lightsaber blade. That Luke needs a hood. The Stormtrooper, he is sorted.
So let's take a deep dive into the nerdy subject of operations in Britain from 2024 to 2025.
Put it up there with the Imperial display. Obi-Wan needs a lightsaber. Sith Trooper needs a helmet. This is another clone, but he is absolutely ready to go. I do like the Mace Windu Legion ones quite a bit, to be fair. It's one of those clone troopers I do regret not army building more when they were out, when they were available, but here we are. Shock Trooper needs a helmet. Rebel Trooper needs a helmet. Hoth Trooper, just a random generic one. It's one of the like late 2010s ones. Get a drink. Senate Commando that needs a blaster. There was we got Fleet Trooper that needs a helmet. That Yoda needs a lightsaber. All the parts are here, by the way. I just don't have them connected to the figures because they've popped off. Got Phi Sen from the Clone Wars. He's just going to go on that randomized shelf. I'm not going to put him next to the Freako Spear. We're going to the San Red or orange Genos and Droids.
Now, I must admit that I don't follow the statistics for Bond Street with any great interest, but I've never really thought of it as a super station. It's a combined tube and deliver line station with the Jubilee and Central lines. Those tube lines are both extremely popular, though you wouldn't...
Con Gunner needs a helmet. Lando Calrissian, he needs a blaster. Got one of those 08 phase ones. They're going right in front of the 2010 Turbo Tank. That'll be one that needs his hood. You need a helmet. That is a random helmet, but not yours. That's going in the box. 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 So another helmet that's not important right now. Alright. We've got two figures here that are good to go. So this is a custom that I must have bought 4 years ago. The manufacturer, by the way, still does exist and makes amazing products. I've not bought from him in about 3 years, but it's a custom Kaminoan security clone Minifig Customs UK. I think the customs I might actually just put, because I did pay good money for some of these. I'm going to put them in my glass cabinet. Other one.
Greater Anglia trains run through here, and freight traffic,
This one.
that doesn't count towards passenger.
Cloud City Boba Fett from 2003 would be the most expensive one I've got.
Stratford has been on the up since money started pumping in the area for the 2012 Olympics. That has been controversial because, as with any investment in an area, the question is whether it's an upgrade that benefits the local residents. or
Many figure that a lot of people find creepy is 2009 Palpatine, so he'll be going
know the area better than I
up here with Admiral Yularen. It just makes sense. That's some random Lego parts that can go in there. You need a helmet. I'll show you in a moment where I've been putting custom figures. We've got another one of my Magna Guards here. So the Magna Guard can go.
There are also District, Circle, and Victoria Line. Depending how you define these things, you might say that Victoria is in the West End.
You need your lightsabers. That guy needs a piece of helmet. You need a blaster, helmet.
Now we're into the top 5, and the number 5 is London Bridge.
There we go. We've got two figures that are good to go. We got Clone Wars Ahsoka from 08, like the original Ahsoka, and Han Solo Skiff. So I'll get those on, and then I'll show you what I did with the custom clone trooper that we found. I will put him in a better space soon. I have just not got that organised.
I tend to think of it as being on the border of southeast London. The station dates back to 1836, so it's no surprise that it had. It was the place for several early railway companies.
So my other custom clone trooper is going to go next to my big clone helmet that's in here.
Tottenham Court Road, another West End station served by the Central Northern Elizabeth Line. Much of what
That's kind of the plan.
is basically identical to what I'd say about
Speaking of which, we got Rot of the Hut here, and we got a Stormtrooper from 08, like that design of the Stormtrooper. So,
this one.
Rota is pretty much just gonna. Rota gets to ride on the Y-Wings wing, because it's funny. The Stormtrooper's going up with some of my Imperial stuff up here. I do have a few classic Blast Stormtroopers, like the Megaphone ones. I will populate Cloud City with those. So that's U3PO, so he gets to go there because he's part of the crew on the tent, at least in the movie. That is the Snow Chewbacca from the 2016 Advent. That's a 10-year-old figure. That's crazy. Luke Pilot from 2006. And go next to the X-Wing. That's a piece from the Battle of Endor that popped off while moving things, so I can get that on there now. You know, by simply climbing up.
And I can't not mention the Bakerloo Circle District and Hammersmith City Underground routes. Paddington has always been a popular station, so much so that the National Rail traffic at Parliament is basically overspill from Paddington. I'm amazed Paddington can bear it. At number 2, Waterloo, 70.4 million. This is an interesting one because Waterloo is mostly served by short to medium commuter trains. There are trains to places like Exeter that are further away, and many of the further off stations are quicker to reach than Paddington.
That's difficult to answer. I don't have an answer to that one.
There are 4.
Like, I can pick. It's a very. That's an annoying question. Most Clone Wars Dooku can go over here.
Something the report doesn't say is whether Waterloo East is counted in with the stats. Waterloo East is technically a separate station from the main station, but
Had Bane, but he needs his hat and one of his blasters. Unfortunately, I ain't got them.
also counts because
You know it.
and frankly I think I need coffee before the opening of the Elizabeth line, Waterloo was consistently the most popular station. So what could have dethroned it? Well, at
Right.
number 1,
Here's an interesting figure we're going to put on the shelf. The White Assassin droid from 2008. It's just a weird one that exists. From the 2008 Death Star.
City and Circle lines as well. It's on the Overground Weaver line, and it sees a huge number of Greater Anglia services too. Once again, it's in the city near to fashionable Shoreditch and with fast links to the Docklands. The station is now considerably over capacity, and there has in fact been a great deal of controversy over the possibility of redeveloping the station. This situation seems to be ever changing, and I really should do an update video on that. that's it. Liverpool Street has an incredible 19th
And we're just going for a bunch of figures that can't go on the shelf. Put it back on, and I was eating. It's a cool figure we got there. Commando Droid Captain from 2013, and from 2013 as well, the Umbaran. See, a couple of years ago, I had the desire to army build Umbarans. I never really went ahead with it. I may eventually do that. Ah, crap, I knocked two figures off. My separatist shelf is a struggle shelf right now.
Because what this shows is that if you build railways, people will use them. Look at what an upset of the Elizabeth line has been. And that's one line. Now, imagine that effect replicated in every big city in the country. Make some noise, because this is how you level the country up. Some stations are notable by their absence. Neither King's Cross nor St Pancras are on there. Both stations are located near
Crap, I'm gonna have to find those. Dooku and the Magna Guard just fell right off my shelf. God damn it.
St Pancras can boast a Thameslink station and, uniquely in London, an international terminus.
1 second, I need to fix a bunch of things on this shelf. This is a
Very
great, and I don't need to go looking for things.
mention stations that are purely underground or light rail, which might shift things a little. Bank, Oxford Circus, and Piccadilly Circus off the top of my head. And one question many people will be asking is, what about Clapham Junction? Because for years and years this was known as Britain's busiest railway station, but it's not here. Well, that's to do
Where
with
the hell did Dooku and that guard go?
This listing is based on entrances and exits, and Clapham Junction sees relatively.
Sorry guys, I'm quickly trying to find some valuable figures that just fell off my shelf.
Fortunately for us, the reports of interchanges, and here things are very different. Glasgow Central comes in at number 10 with 3.9 million interchanges. Glasgow has the most extensive suburban railway network in Britain outside of London, but its metro system is limited to a single circular route, so it's perhaps not surprising that this should see so much purely rail interchange. At 9, Reading, 4.1 million. When you take the train out of Paris, Reading is the most major station on the route. It's also the westernmost terminus of the Elizabeth line, the terminus line from Waterloo. The North Downs line, the Reading to Basingstoke line, and the Reading to Taunton line begin here. There are even cross-country services to Southampton, Bournemouth, Manchester, Newcastle, and Gatwick Airport. So yes, sir, this is a busy station. At number 8, Waterloo, 4.5 million interchanges. At number 7, Stratford, 4.9 million interchanges. At number 6, another out-of-London station, Birmingham New Street. This is a strong contender for my least favourite station, but I'm sure that's...
What on earth has happened here?
5.6 million passengers who change trains here every year. It is the busiest station outside of London and the 13th busiest overall. There are several operators.
Have they just ceased to exist? Weird, I'm gonna have to.
Railway, London North Western Railway, and Transport for Wales. Geographically speaking, it's one of the most important rail hubs in the country, perhaps even the most important. I mean, if I were to live
I have no idea what you're saying, if I'm being completely honest.
Number 5 is Liverpool Street, 6.5 million interchanges. I thought they'd do more. London Bridge beats it with 7.0 million. Now remember earlier I mentioned
Where the hell did they two go? I'd rather not misplace something like a Magna Guard. They're kind of pricey these days.
3 million interchanges. I think
Right, I found the Magna Guard. But where's Dooku then?
That's still enormously well used. At number 2, Whitechapel. Whitechapel is an East End interchange station. Line, Windrush line, overground, and District and Hammersmith.
How the-
of the underground.
Oh god.
So if you're coming from east or south of London, it's a good place to change onto the Elizabeth line. And the 13.8 million interchanges last year would seem to agree with that. And what I would say makes this particularly remarkable is that there are no long distance lines from the station to the Elizabeth line as such, which I don't. Maybe that's just me. And finally, number 1, the one you've all been waiting
don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna move and try and find where the hell Count Dooku went.
It's on the line into Waterloo and Victoria.
Oh my god, I would never notice them. That is well hidden. Right, Dooku and the Magna Guardian record.
Is that there are no tube services at all. It's
Besides the Cloud City figures, 1 second, let me get these two guys back where they're meant to be and I'll show you.
The methodology is not perfect, as the report itself admits. It's very hard to get exact numbers on interchange because often there's no ticket barrier to monitor usage. It's based on routes. So if you get a train from Putney to Victoria, say, you probably change trains at Clapham Junction, but people might not take the logical route. Again, it's not clear what happens with interchanges with connected but theoretically separate stations like Waterloo and Waterloo East or Moorgate and Liverpool Street. But that's the stats as they stand. If you're curious about what the least
Probably dusting this set a little bit, the AAT from 09.
entries and exits, and no interchanges. It may surprise you to learn that I have no footage of that station. Well, not at present. And maybe I should pay it a visit one of these days. Probably not anytime soon, though. Well, I do hope you enjoyed today's video.
There we go. My other rarest figures in my collection. That's a good question.
Some other aspects of the report in future videos.
Over here.
Some interesting stats.
So over here, in this case, I've got a number of rare figures. So I've got the Kashyyyk clone from 05, Smooth Hair Factory Era Princess Leia, Chrome Darth Vader, some of the OG Clone Commanders. I've got the Shadow Earth Trooper, the Chrome Stormtrooper, TC-14, and up here, I have the Gold Chrome C-3PO from 2007. He's part of my complete saga thing that I've got going on. So, yeah, maybe that helped answer your question. Right, let's continue with these figures. You're going in there. You're going in there. This one of the UCS Falcon figures, so that indeed will be going in front of the set with the where I've got the plaque and stuff. You need a blaster. This is on a Clone Wars Ahsoka variant. Some of the more modern Clone Wars figures that last year. It's a year old. Wow.
In December, London's Liverpool station was officially declared the busiest station in Britain. And you may ask yourself, well, how did we get here? It's time to look into the history of Liverpool's.
Right, neither of those can go up.
It has its origins with a company called the East
Forlom can. Forlom. He's going in the bounty hunter scene.
was built to connect East Anglia with London with the support of railway promoter
Right, I will be putting the 3POs and R2s on list. You need a lightsaber. You need a helmet. Tell you what, I'm going to change camera angle, right?
Expensive. In 1840, they gave up. They terminated
I'm going to sit down for a bit because I am tired. Like, I was in work all day before this stream. So here's how we're going to do it, right? I'm going to put this box on the floor. I'm going to separate out all the figures that can go right back on the shelf. And then we'll deal with those ones separately. This means I have to sit down while streaming. Back in the box, back in the box. We got 8 Snowtrooper ready to go. I'll put them at my side here.
Nor was it a good place to unload goods.
Let's see, what else we got? We got it's a helmet.
Heading into the city. The ECR desperately wanted something closer to the centre of town. In fact, from 1845, they were
Thank you, that means a lot. No good. We got a Mon Cala officer. I can put that right back on my shelf.
The City of London solicitor, Charles Pearson, suggested a grand central station in Farringdon where several railways could meet. This would have been approximately
We got
where
Chief
City
Trooper from the
Council
Ewoks.
is now.
We're just getting ready to put some stuff back on the shelf. So, yeah. Battle Droid ready to go. Scout Trooper from 2013 ready to go.
In 1846, the Royal Commission
The
on
Nectal Guard's not any good.
recommended no further
Arf
railways
Trooper
in
ready to
central
go.
London, which put the kibosh on Farringdon. Charles Pearson didn't give up.
So one of these classic consoles from 07.
Railway, which, well, I'm sure you know how that turned out. perhaps cutting their losses, in 1846 the ECR had shorted...
Got enough coming with my custom clones that can go in the glass cabinet. This being a custom of Bakara from Minifig Customs UK. It's not completely accurate, but it's a cool figure.
Conveniently located, but it was small.
Shahan Alala can go right on.
The Northern and Eastern Railway, and as traffic increased, it was clear that more space would be needed.
Got a Horn Company clone from 2011.
The station was rebuilt between 1848 and 1849, but this was only a stopgap. So too was sharing the London and Blackpool Railways terminus at Fenchurch Street. In 1862, many of the East Anglian railways were merged to form a...
I'm just throwing a bunch of figures in the box that we're not going to do anything with right now.
The new company was called the Great Eastern Railway, and one of their first priorities was the Bishopsgate problem. One possibility...
We got original Commander Gree from 2012. He's ready to go.
However, this was to be a joint venture between the North London Railway and the London and North Western Railway, and it seems unlikely that they could have accommodated a third company with the level of traffic of the Great Eastern.
Sifting through all these ones, essentially, right, everything in this box needs weapons or helmets put back on. I'm not doing that tonight on this stream.
One was at Wormwood Street, one was at Finsbury Circus,
No.
and one was at Liverpool
So
Street.
this live stream has an...
Watching this video, you've probably figured out which one received parliamentary approval in 1864. Liverpool Street posed some challenges. Most obviously...
Hey, no, that's alright.
the Great Eastern Railway had...
Autocorrect can be difficult. But I am planning to produce more shorts tonight. I've got some other content that I want to do, so... You know, you'll be getting a bit of content.
Heavy industry, particularly mineral traffic, was what made the railways rich. By contrast, the Great Eastern had a lot of
This
meandering
332nd trigger ready to go.
agricultural areas. But land in London was expensive, really expensive. So raising the money took years. The other problem was geographical. The line into Bishopsgate was on a viaduct, but for whatever reason, the general manager of the Great Eastern, Samuel Swarbrick, pushed for a station below ground level.
2011 Clone Wars Anakin, he's sorted.
The directors urged a street-level station, but Swarbrick overruled them. This meant a steep incline at the start of every journey from Liverpool Street. Possibly...
Sorry, I'm a bit tired.
Eventually it would be able to connect with the Metropolitan Railway.
No.
Certainly some of the objections to other station proposals were that they couldn't do that. To get from Shoreditch
So
to
tomorrow,
Liverpool Street,
normally like a Friday, I would try and do a long live. I'll be honest, don't expect one because I have stuff going on. Got Chopper here. But this, you'll still be getting some good content this weekend. We got Santa Yoda here from 2011. But I will be trying maybe throwing a gaming part to this live once we're done this. We got a 2013 501st clone. Or maybe the next hour will be just sorting, who knows. We'll find out soon enough. Let's go in the box. Box.
So, for some residents, life got better, but for those most in need, life got worse. The station itself was built on the site of the Royal Bethlehem Hospital, better known as Bedlam, which moved out to a building in Lambeth that now houses the Imperial War Museum. As a temporary measure, the Great...
So we got Oya here that will go next to my UCS Falcon.
The existing one, called Bishopsgate Low Level.
Honestly, it is doable, it's just expensive because Lego hasn't went back and done them yet.
Which were ready before
Got a jetpack clone trooper from 09.
those extra passengers to go. Bishopsgate Low Level lasted from 1872 until 1916. Liverpool Street Station was opened in two parts, the first in 1874 and the second in 1875,
No.
which gives you some idea of how long it took them to find the money. They had to be helped.
We got
by the
Endor Rex here.
Gurliant Company, a financial institution that had enormous stakes in many railway companies, including the Great Eastern. Furthermore, they had drastically underestimated the costs of construction by something in the region of 2/3. The company was brought to the edge of bankruptcy.
2005.
Management shakeup that
No, I'm not selling any of these. I may explain. So I recently took all my sets off the shelf, right? And I take the figures off, I dust, I clean, I change the display. And all the figures behind me basically went in a box. I'm just going through which ones I've had parts come off. So, for example, I need to get her lightsabers back on, Ventress's lightsabers off. This clone's helmets come off. This guy's helmet's off. That kind of thing, right? I sell the occasional thing, but not really often.
This would cause headaches for more than a century. Also causing headaches was the
I'm more a
lack of
consumer than a
platform
seller.
development somewhat bizarrely. For example, there were 2 Platform 7s and 2 Platform 8s. Liverpool Street did get a connection to the Metropolitan Railway, and in fact the Met used Platform 1 at the mainline station for a few
Got an
months in
2003
1875,
GNOs in there.
while their own station
That'll be
was
going
under
back on the
construction.
shelf.
Although oddly, the Metropolitan
All the ones that
station
have had
was
parts
Baker
come
Street
off,
rather
I will
than
do
Liverpool
those at some
Street
point.
until 1909.
No.
That station is a complex subject in itself and probably deserves a separate video.
For the most part, it just ends up being marketplace, but I'm currently not selling anything. I recently just sold a whole bunch of Ninjago stuff I wasn't doing anything with.
The Great Eastern
Security
Hotel
Battle
was
Droid.
completed in 1884 to the design of Charles Edward Barry, grandson of the Charles Barry who designed the Houses of Parliament, and was rather more ornate than the rest of the station. An ideal place for the long-distance traveller to get their head down.
Now all those parts can go
The
back
lower
in.
floor of this building
Got a
is
half
now
trooper here.
the
We'll see how much is left in the box that I have
hotel
to
had its
put
own
back
ghost
together
train, or rather there was
in the next stream.
train to the side
I'll be interested to see how much of a
hotel
dent we
that
can
staff
make.
referred to as the ghost train. Later
I say
additions
that
to the
as I
station,
just
which
put a
may or
whole
may
bunch of
not
stuff
also
right
count as a
in the
cult,
box.
depending on your superstitions, were apparently
Conjurer, I need to build up for the army. Definitely need to get more Kashyyyk stuff.
Suburban commuter trains were the making of Liverpool Street and indeed of the Great Eastern Railway. The cheap fares mandated by Parliament made commuting by train very attractive, and those trains became the company's most profitable. These half fares were nicknamed warehouse tickets by staff, since warehouse workers were some of the major
Here's a cool one. This is actually a misprint I have. Clone Wars R2-D2 with a shifted print from 2009.
So much so that the station was soon operating
You see what I mean?
beyond capacity.
It's a cool figure though. Like even though it's Scottish, I'll have to buy one that isn't shifted. Got an Imperial Astromech next.
To live up to its potential. 10 years later, work was finished on an eastern extension that included additional tracks dedicated
And another
to
Astromech.
trains. This gave Liverpool Street a total of 18 platforms, which made it the
Perhaps
largest
I'll make a
station
short
London
comment
until it was
explaining the way I
overtaken
do
by Victoria in
selling things on the
1908.
rare occasion I
In
do.
1897,
Maybe that would just
all
make
9
sense
train
to have,
services
like,
to
so I can refer to that video for people.
And staff nicknamed the passengers burglars. By 1907, Liverpool Street was seeing
Commander Rex,
851
Captain
passenger
Rex
trains
from
a day,
Rebels.
and by 1912, around 1,000. The cheap trains did
Another
have
one of
their
these Han Solos. I've got a few of
For
those.
one thing, the morning trains ran very early, often considerably earlier than the businesses their passengers worked at. So the commuters would linger in the station, perhaps having a bite to eat as they did so. This often consisted of herrings that they would cook in the waiting room, stinking the place out and offending the sensibilities of the refined traveller.
Kashyyyk Battle Droid.
Actually, snobbery was one of the big obstacles in the way of extending the hours for workmen's trades. The wealthy folk of Victorian London did not like the idea of sharing the station with the so-called lower orders.
Let's see what else we got here.
Just returned
What's going in the
to
box?
concept of the station extension. The company were
All of
obviously
that
more
is the
confident
box.
about the
We've got
east
Clone
side of
Wars
the station
Obi-Wan here from
than the
08
original
from the
building
gunship.
because they put the company architect W.A.
I'll be live for an
Ashley in
hour.
charge. However, they did run into a bit of a hiccup due to the intervention of Parliament. Paying insufficient compensation
2002 Attack of the Clones Anakin.
Dirty trick. At this time, Parliament insisted that the Great Eastern pay for new modern blocks of flats to house
Original
those
90s
formed out by
R2-D2.
the extension, which they did. But the station was at risk of becoming a victim of its own success. The fact that the station had been built in 2 sections would, in the long run, become disruptive. The 2 sections were connected by a single footbridge, which was far from ideal in rush hour. Trains were becoming so crowded that even at maximum frequency they were unable to cope with demand. The solution would have been to invest in electrification. Electric trains can accelerate.
I will do. I
decelerate
plan
much
to
more
keep
quickly
going.
than steam trains.
See, I've been on
But that would
YouTube
have been more money
for
than the
11
Great
years.
Eastern was willing
And
or
last
able to
year, I'll
spend.
admit the
At the
channel
same
wasn't
time,
doing
the
much, but this
1890s
year I
saw
plan
the
to be the
arrival
year
of
that my
tube
channel
trains, and a number of
really
promoters
does
who
something.
figured that if the Great Eastern wasn't going to pick up the surplus
The time and the
passengers,
money is
perhaps
there
a new
for me
line
to do it.
The Great
So I'm going to be
Eastern had a
taking full
catch-22
advantage and doing what I can do.
situation where if they paid
The
for
fact that
electrification, they'd be spending
in
more than they could
2025, it got a
But if
total of
they didn't, they'd be
87,000
handing
views,
their
and
most
this year it's
profitable
almost
services over to other
100,000
companies.
more than
Their
that
solution to this Gordian
within the
knot
first 3
was in
months.
1902
Like,
to
in
build a
March
hefty
alone,
locomotive
I've gotten
known
over
as the
50,000
Depot,
views.
which
Like,
would have the
this
power
channel
to
can do
accelerate at
something,
the
and I
same
fully
speed
believe
as an
that.
electric train. Frankly, it wasn't a very good engine.
Granted, this
It
YouTube
was
channel
too
at
powerful
this
for
point in
existing
life
rolling
doesn't pay the
stock
bills and
and
isn't a
too
career,
heavy
but who
for
knows, one day it could be.
bridges. But it
We
was
got
enough to convince
the
Parliament
Rebels
to quash
2-1B
plans
medical
for
droid
tube
there.
lines competing with the Great Eastern. In 1912, though, a tube line did make it to Liverpool Street in the form of the Central London Railway, now the Central Line. But this worked in the Great Eastern's favour, as it gave Liverpool Street a link all the way to the western suburbs of the city at Shepherd's
Got a TIE
Bush.
pilot.
The Great
But yeah,
Eastern
honestly,
considered once again the concept
if you want
of
any more tips or
electrification,
just
even giving
interesting
serious
things like that,
thought to the
comment.
idea of a
I'm
tube
more than
line
happy
of
to
their
do so.
own from Liverpool Street to Goodlegs. But this didn't get any
Got
further than a
Vice
concept.
Admiral
Of course,
Sloan there.
commuters weren't all that Liverpool Street handled. From the 1890s, the Great Eastern were very proud of their luxurious boat trains to Harwich, which meant that passengers could buy a ticket from Liverpool Street to Hamburg, Gothenburg, the Hook of Holland and Antwerp. Also popular were their seaside expresses, which could boast fine dining in their restaurant cars. The First World War was
Got Luke
disruptive
off the
to
bone
all
when he
railways
fights the
in Britain,
Rancor.
but Liverpool Street would become the victim of an air raid on the 13th of June.
Biker Scout ready to go.
With 2 trains being hit. 15 were killed and 16 injured. In 1922, a memorial to the Great Eastern Railway staff killed in the conflict would be unveiled. The Despot gambit had paid off, but it was clear that the Great Eastern would have to find some way to up their game. In 1920, they announced what was officially known as the Intensive Service. This was one of the
Mandalorian
most
Loyalist
remarkable
from
achievements in the history
2021.
of commuter rail, and required an incredible amount of coordination. Trains would come
Oh
in and
crap.
almost as soon
This
as they
minifigure,
had
he's
stopped,
called
another
Wald.
engine
He's from The
would
Phantom
come in
Menace.
and be coupled onto
Took
the
me a minute
rear
to
of the
remember what
train.
his name
The
was.
engine at the front would be uncoupled, and the rear engine
We got
would
the
take the
Rancor
train out
Keeper from
again.
2013.
Then
So
the
there's
front
less than
engine
an
would be
hour
prepared
left
to
in this
pick up
live, but
another incoming
screw
train.
it, I'm enjoying
New
myself.
tracks and platforms were provided so that trains and engines wouldn't get in each other's way, and routes were given strict track and platform allocations to avoid traffic jams outside the station. To speed things up on the passenger side, clutter was removed from the circulating areas of the station with the demolition of offices and a bookstall. Carriages were painted with colour-coded stripes to indicate where the train was going and where the different classes of
This is
compartments
Palpatine's
were.
medical droid who
This
puts
colourful
Anakin back
signage
together in
lent
his
the
shuttle.
Intensive Service getting its much more familiar nickname, the Jazz Train. All this meant that a train could be turned around in as little as 4 minutes, which is good going even by modern standards. And it's all the more impressive given
Got
that
3
this was
figures in
brought
that
before
handful
the
that are ready
age
to
of
go.
modern electronics, when so much was
Oh,
done
5 Phase
mechanically
2
and
clone.
by eye. In 1923, the Great Eastern
Boba
would become
Fett
part of the
Boy
London
from
and North Eastern
2013.
Railway. This was the grouping
And the
in which
droid
the
attack on
major
the
railway
Wookiees himself,
companies of
Kiari
Britain
Mundi.
and most of the minor
We've got a
ones were organised
big pile of
into
figures, and I'm
4
adding back to the
huge
shelves.
companies, nicknamed the Big Four. It was hoped
Another
that this
version of
would
Commander
enable
Grey. I have both
profitable
his Phase
lines
2
to
versions.
prop up the less profitable lines. Unfortunately, the
Burnt up
LNER
Anakin
rather
from
got the short end
05.
of the stick, because of all the companies they took over, the only one that was really profitable was the North Eastern Railway. Consequently, they didn't have much money to play with, and so Liverpool
We got
Street
original
remained pretty
2002
much
Yoda.
as was, with only minor improvements. Another underground service arrived in 1927, but not one you'd written on. Well, not legally. This was the Post
Preble from
Railway,
2013.
a driverless tube train providing a between the city and parts of the West End.
Han
The
Solo
Liverpool
Hoth.
Street section closed in 2003, but it is now possible to take a ride around Mount Pleasant on this most unusual railway. It was clear by the 1930s that things couldn't go on as they
Ula
were.
from
Even
2012.
with the Jazz service, there were more passengers than the trains could handle.
The Imperial
The LNER
Officer.
made vague promises of electrification and used
Got
this as
Super Battle Droid.
justification to meet
That's all the
up
stuff I'll
with
put
tube
on in
lines
this
in
stream, and
North
then in
London.
the next
But it
stream
was
we'll
pretty
focus on
clear
these
that
other
they
ones.
weren't going to actually
Death
do
Watch
anything about
Mandalorian.
it, and so the powers that be stepped in.
I do
In
not want to build those.
1935, the New Works
2012
programme
Clone
was
Wars
announced.
Padme.
This was a huge programme of investment in London's transport, only some of which is relevant here. Under the programme, the Central Line would be extended to Stratford.
None of those can go
taking
on.
The branch line to Ongar and the Fairlock Loop. The government
Neither
would also
can
supply
those.
necessary loans for the LNER to electrify the line to Shenfield.
Neither can
The programme
those.
was delayed by the Second World War, but the Central Line aspect was completed in
No.
1947, and the Shenfield bit by 1949. In the lead up to the war, the station found itself
Right, these
being
two
linked
can.
with the Kinder
We got one of those classic clones
the
with the
evacuation
blaster,
of Jewish
which is
children
makes
from
it cooler.
Nazi-controlled territory.
And we got
And in
Old Man
2003,
Wolf
a
from
sculpture
Rebels.
was unveiled in commemoration of this. The Second World War was rather more eventful for Liverpool Street than the first, with several bombing raids hitting the station. In one case, a bomb struck the viaduct leading into the neighbouring Broad Street station, resulting in a goods wagon ending up on the roof of Liverpool Street. It had to be dismantled before service could resume. Meanwhile, the tube station became an important, if unofficial, air raid shelter. In 1948, the LNER became the eastern region of British Railways, the nationalised railway network. Under BR,
My second Max
electrification
Reeboks, I've got one from
continued, and the
2030 and
programme
one from
widening
the
steam
new
services
sail
down
barge.
began. By
Mannequin
1960,
needs
the commuter
hair.
services out Liverpool Street had been
Some
fully
more
handed
stuff
over
that just
to
needs to put
electric
back together.
transport,
That'll be an
and
interesting
what
stream.
wasn't electric was diesel-hauled by 1962. With the end of steam, British
I do have
Rail
a
took
second
the
one of these burnt up
opportunity to clean
Anakin
the
from
station
05,
up
but
and
there's a way I
modernise it,
display
with
both of them that
rebuilding works
works.
completed in 1965. Despite
The white
investments,
version of
the
C3PO.
nationalised railway network was expected to make savings wherever it could, and the old railways in East Anglia that had once been operated by the Great Eastern and its
The original
constituent
version of
companies
Child Boba Fett from
crawled back
02.
at the behest of Dr. Beeching. Back in London, British Rail had big and controversial plans for Liverpool Street that were announced in 1973. While there had been improvements over the years, the fact was that it was not ideal at a basic structural level. Therefore, the station was to be demolished, as was Broad Street next door, and the two stations moved to a completely rebuilt, complete below-ground station. Office blocks on top of the site would make the station pay. But the development faced strong opposition, led by the poet Sir John Betjeman. Also opposing were students
Admiral
at University
Akbar
College
from
London,
2009.
London Borough of Hackney, and the Greater London Council, who argued that in addition to the architectural damage, the new plan involved a lot of office space for an economically uncertain time and no housing. UCL put forward a more heritage-friendly alternative. In the 13 years
Oldest
following the
minifigure.
1977
The
inquiry,
oldest Lego
BR
Star
had to
Wars
return
figures
to
are
the
from
drawing board.
1999.
The
I have the
reworked
Darth
plan
Vader, an
involved
R2, a
extending
couple
the
Luke
train track to the
Skywalkers,
south and replacing the
Qui-Gon
roof of the
Jinn, and
eastern
Jar Jar
end
Binks
with
from
an
that
office
era.
block. This compromise version was approved.
So,
and
yeah, my
one
oldest
began in
figures are now
1985.
27 years old.
However,
Which is,
Broad
they're
Street
older
was
than
to be
me,
the
'cause I'm
sacrificial
20,
lamb,
we're
closing
coming
down
up
in
23.
1986 and being replaced with the
Coolmore's
Broadgate
Ventress.
complex. A junction with the old North London line was built, allowing the Broad Street trains to run into Liverpool Street, which is an ironic reversal of
Old
the
Man
Great
Obi-Wan.
Eastern's 1862 proposal to share Broad Street. In 1991, the new Liverpool Street station was complete. On the 24th of April 1993, the station would once again suffer bomb damage as a result of the Bishopsgate bombing by the IRA. This caused major damage to surrounding buildings, including Liverpool Street. There were 44 injuries and 1 death. Between 1994 and 1997, the
What about
railways
here?
of Britain were
Nothing that can
privatised.
go back
In
on.
2015, though, TfL would take over a number of services. The commuter lines to
Got Bib
Chingford,
Fortuna and a
Cheshunt,
Concadet
and
there that can go on.
became part of the
It's the
Overground,
2012
an
Bib Fortuna.
initiative to once again revamp the suburban railways of London. TfL also took over the service to Shenfield, but this was part of a much larger
We've got
scheme.
Tocat, which is,
Crossrail. This
sounds like a
was
weird name,
scheme
that's
to build
actually an
an
Ewok from
east-to-west rail
2011.
corridor beneath London, linking suburban lines on both sides of the city. The line to Shenfield was to become part of this. Liverpool Street would gain a couple of huge new platforms far beneath
Oh, the
the
Mace
station
Windu
that
Clone
were so
Troopers,
long that they
and we got
actually had a
the
direct connection
Jango
to
Fett from
Moorgate,
last
the
year,
next
which is
station
pretty cool.
along the Metropolitan line. The new line opened in May 2022. Later that year, once again, new developments were announced, the most drastic since the 1980s. This was a plan to, once again, put an office block on top of Liverpool Street. And once again, this was opposed by heritage activists, who argued, once again, that it would be damaging to the historic structure, including
Got on these
demolition of the historic roof,
Scout
and
Troopers
that
from
it's foolhardy
2009.
to build office blocks
As a
at
figure, I
time
do have a lot of.
economic uncertainty.
2017
The
ALS
developers
Secure,
argue that
ready
it
to
will
go.
largely be affecting the 1980s sections and will approve
Oh, these
accessibility
Imperial
and
Astromechs. I've got quite a
circulation
few of
around the
those.
station. Which side will win remains to be seen at the time of recording. The arrival of the Elizabeth line has made Liverpool
Got
Street
2012
station busier than
Anakin,
ever,
which has the
and
Sith
it
eyes.
once again took the crown of busiest station in Britain late in 2023. Really, isn't that just the history of Liverpool Street all over? A station that was built to take advantage of a perceived market for city commuters.
Got a
yet
2015
spends
Clone
most of
Pilot,
its
and we
life
got
being
Bush Leia from
overwhelmed by those
2012.
same commuters. And now, yet again, it's the busiest of all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please do leave a like and consider
Got
subscribing.
another security battle droid, and we got a non-winged Geonosian. It's another thing I've always thought about army building is Geonosians.
Support. You are the eastern extension to my inadequate terminus. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.
We have 2005 Capeless Vader from the Transformation set, and 2012 Jack Porkins. We're having a lot of figures to actually put back on the shelf, to be fair. Like, there is no shortage. We got 2011 Princess Leia here from episode 4. Ton Wee from 2022. We changed the background nonsense.
On the Danny.
Look out, Bart! Here comes Skinner! Yikes!
Whoever did this is in very...
I can't watch first that while I'm doing this. Alright, copyright when this goes up as an actual video. I'll put Jago Hazard back on. That's the name of the guy who does like the train stuff. You know, I'm autistic, those train videos, it just makes sense.
At Marble Arch, there would be a spur. Everyone loves a closed tube station.
Right, we got
Millions of
3 in that handful that are good to go. We got original Anakin Child from 1999. I have quite a few of the 90s figures. And Back to Tank Luke from 2011. Another 501st Clone Trooper from 2013.
Has an awful lot of closed stations. The reason for this is because its builders were over-optimistic as to just how many they'd need when they were planning the line back at the beginning of the 20th century.
Got a Royal Guard.
And they built stations very close together, and often not in the most useful,
We got a Cadu here, which is pretty cool. And this is a knockoff / custom figure I got a while ago. Star Killer from The Force Unleashed, because, I mean, obviously, Rizal Stantz from Return of the Jedi.
Took the opportunity to divest themselves of some of their most unremunerative and,
Another Hoth Rebel.
pointless stations. Now, just to
2008
clarify, I'm only
Visor
covering
Captain
stations
Rex.
that have completely closed. For instance, Hyde Park Corner has a disused building here,
Another Clone
but the
Cadet.
station is still very much in use. I'm also not including renamings or resighting.
Hoth Rebel.
Well, my rule with resighting is if the location was far enough from the original to warrant a name change, it gets covered. So, Osterley's in, Hillingdon's out. I
Got
do that.
Stacey Tim's Astromech. I am going to be back in like a moment. I'll go get a drink and we'll go from there.
But I actually do make the rules in this case. Also, I feel no sense of sorrow. Let's start in the north. Now, the northern end of the Piccadilly line beyond Finsbury Park was actually only constructed in the 1940s, and as a result, there are no closed stations there. Apparently, closing Manor House was contemplated during the planning stages of the Victoria line, but that's as close as it got. I should also give an honourable mention to this London Underground building at Colina Road, which seems likely to have been the planned site of a station called St Anne's Road. It never got built, or even got past the planning stages, it seems. But things were solid enough that they had some land here. But instead of a station, they built a ventilation shaft. From Finsbury Park to Hammersmith, the line opened in December 1906, and that's where most of the abandoned stations are located.
I'm back.
The first station we come to is York Road. York Road was one stop north of King's Cross, on the edge of what was known as the Railway Land. The area was very industrial and very poor. The residents were more likely to take the tram, the bus, or to walk into town. So the station was
Oh.
always poorly patronised.
Yeah, so let's
From
continue.
1908, some services skipped it altogether,
Encore.
and in
Good to go.
1932 it was closed down. The railway lands were the location of the goods depot serving King's Cross Station. Once that closed down, the
Jedi
area
Bob.
became
Good to go.
somewhat notorious. It's recently been redeveloped, and as part of that redevelopment, it was proposed to reopen York Road at various points between 2006 and the present day. However, Transport for London have rejected this on the grounds that it would slow trains down on the busy Piccadilly line.
We got Lama Su, which is like, that's one of those surprise figures we got last year. I never expected that figure to exist. Right, well, first clone,
Firstly, because it's located
and a regular
firmly
phase 2.
within the heart of London's West End, along one of its busiest streets, Strand. Secondly, because it tends to get used a lot for filming. And thirdly, because it only closed a little over 30 years ago. The line to Aldwych branches off the main Piccadilly line
These
at
three are
Holborn,
good to
and
go.
for most of its life it was worked as a shuttle service. There were several reasons why it wasn't popular. It was very close to Temple on the District and Circle lines. It wasn't far from Charing Cross and Trafalgar Square stations on the Northern and Bakerloo lines, respectively. It was well served by trams. And to be honest, it wasn't even that far from Holborn. There were several ideas to incorporate it into other schemes. To attach it to a Jubilee line extension, to extend
So
the
I'm just going
branch
through
to
what I've got
Waterloo,
here before I
and
go.
latterly,
Got these
even
kind
to
of pirate
turn it into part
minifigures.
of an underground cycle route.
That's from that Boba's Palace. I didn't buy that set, but I did buy quite a
It
few of
closed
the
in
figures on it.
1994 when
Because
the
they had some
station
cool characters that
required
are background
refurbishment,
characters from
but
Return of the Jedi. So I was
Transport
like,
decided it
yeah, I'll have
wasn't
those.
worth it. Next up, Down
The
Street.
Half Rebel and
This is another
not
contender
that
for most
is
famous
incomplete.
abandoned station. Its entrance is kind of hard to see, being on a side street away from the main road. It was opened slightly later than the rest
Stormtrooper,
of the
and then
line on
that's
the
it
15th
for
of March
decent figures in
1907.
that pile.
Down Street had the opposite problem to York Road. Around here, the residents were too rich to sully themselves with subterranean trains. It also had to compete with the nearby Hyde Park Corner and Green Park stations. The Piccadilly line stations had initially opened with lifts to take passengers to platform level. Escalators are better at moving large numbers of people, so it was decided in the 1920s to replace the lifts at the busiest stations with this more efficient mode. However, because lifts are vertical and escalators are diagonal, that meant moving a lot of the entrances. At Green Park, then known as Dover Street, the entrance was moved to the west. This put it even closer to Down Street, and so Down Street was taken down in 1932. It saw a lot of use during the war as the headquarters of the railway executive. It even temporarily housed the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. Though I should say that it was very temporary. Brompton Road was so notorious.
So we'll get all those onto the
that
shelf.
it gave
I'm
its
just
name to a play,
sifting through what
Passing
else is good to
Brompton
go.
Road. It was between South Kensington and Knightsbridge. South Kensington is a busy station with a lot to see. Knightsbridge is a busy station with a lot to see. Brompton Road, well, not so much. So passengers tended to avoid it. I get the impression that the Underground group wanted to close it long before they actually did. Trains would often skip
We got
it,
2002 Count
frustration of
Dooku
the
ready to go.
passengers that did use it, and no doubt that made it even less popular. In 1926, it was closed.
Got
due to the
Phase 1
general
Commander
strike
Cody
that
from
wouldn't
08,
reopen
that's
for
sorted.
5
So
months.
this has
As
been
with
my longest
Downbridge,
stream I've
it
done in a
was the
little while.
reselling of a
Going
neighbouring
quite well.
station
I'm quite
that
happy
brought
with
it
this
its
stream.
final end. In this case, the
You know, I've had no
rebuilt
people
station
coming
was
in
Knightsbridge.
saying
That
comments I've had
being
to.
said,
I've not had to
lasted
get
2 years
moderators
longer
to
than
sort
Down
out
Street
comments right now. I
before
think I'm quite
Brompton
happy about. We've
finally
got a
closed its
Kashyyyk
gates
clone
in
here.
1934. Now,
Been a nice
all
relaxed stream.
trains are passing Brompton Road.
Got Luke from the
And
UCS
now,
Falcon.
I think we should head out into the suburbs. Technically, Park Royal and Twyford Abbey was never a Piccadilly line station. It was built on the Ealing and South Harrow Railway, which to all intents and purposes was a branch of the District Railway. But because there were so
Hondo
many branches
Onaka
of the
from
District
09's a
Railway,
pretty cool
in
figure.
the 1920s, the Underground group decided to hand 2 of the branches over to the Piccadilly line.
Han Solo
This
lives
one
up from
and is now the
2004.
Piccadilly line
It's pretty
route to
cool.
Uxbridge. When Park
I don't know
Royal
why
and
that
Twyford
figure
Abbey
always thought it
opened
was
in
Stephen. Looks like one of the
1903,
yellow
this
tone
area
ones.
was basically the countryside. The only thing of note in the area was the Royal Agricultural Showground, and that was why this station existed. The reason you can't see anything today is because it was very basic. Wooden platforms, corrugated iron shelters. The
Look, the
area
best
did
spin
see
from
development,
2018.
but further to the west. Therefore, it was decided to close Park Royal and Twyford Abbey and
We got
replace
a
it
Sand
with
Trooper from
Park Royal.
07. That's like
That
pre
opened
the
in
backpacks and stuff as
1931,
well.
and Park Royal and Twyford Abbey was closed at the same time. Nothing remains. The other branch that got handed over to the Piccadilly line was the branch to Hounslow Barracks.
R7A7 from the Clone Wars was a cool answer. Ahsoka's
And
droid
that
from
brings us to our
2009.
next station, Osterley and Spring Grove. This
General
opened in
Crex
1883,
Madine from
hoping to take
09 as well. I have
advantage
most
of
of the Star Wars. I think I have
traffic
almost
to,
every
well,
Lego Star Wars
Osterley
figure
Park
from
and Spring
2009.
Grove.
I think I'm only
Spring
missing
Grove
like
was a
4.
housing development, but not a very successful one.
Sorry, 2009 is a
As
pretty
the
cool year for
suburbs
Lego Star Wars.
developed, more
Being the
and
10th
more
anniversary and
passengers
stuff.
used the station. It became too successful for its own good, in fact. It was clear that it would need to be rebuilt. London Underground decided that rather than rebuild, they'd close it
That's
down altogether
Oddball
and
from
build a new
last
one on
year's
the
Arc
Great West
170,
Road.
and the rest is
The new
going
Osterley
straight into
station
the
opened
box.
in 1934, bringing the end of the
Not too
line
much
Spring
more
Grove.
to sift through. Oh, well, that
That's
is
all the
going in the
abandoned
box.
stations on the Piccadilly line or on track that became the Piccadilly line. I will make some more honourable mentions though. There were 3 other tube stations that
Clone Trooper
narrowly
is good to
escaped
go,
closure
and the
in
rest
the
is going
Piccadilly
into the
purge.
box.
One was Gloucester Road, which saw more patronage from the District line than the Piccadilly. Another was Covent Garden, which was seen as overlapping with Leicester Square and was not, as it is now, located in a major tourist district.
We got
And the third
Gregor
was
from
Gillespie
Rebels,
Road,
the rest
which
is
since
going into the box.
1932 has been called Arsenal. That was very busy on match days, but at other times was embarrassingly quiet. All 3 of these stations have since seen enough of an increase in passenger numbers to justify keeping them. I might also mention Hounslow Town. This was never part of the Piccadilly line and was never even on a section of line that became the Piccadilly. It was
Han Solo and
located on a
Carbonite
little
from
stub
2012,
off
the one
what's
from the
now
Palace.
Piccadilly line, just east of
The
Hounslow.
one that makes it 2012
This
and
was
not
built in
2010 is the
1883 for
figure
the
that's
District
inside the mold.
Railway, with the aim of
Half
extending
Rebel,
the line to
and
meet the London and
I have
South
2 of those
Western Railway
08
at Twickenham.
Ventresses. I don't know what I'm doing with the second one. It's one of those figures I
The
might end
London
up
and
selling.
South Western Railway had other ideas, and the scheme never went ahead. Rather than go to Twickenham, the district decided to build a line to the west, leaving Hounslow Town as a stubby little branch.
Anakin from
As a result, it
2012.
became a little bit
2012 is the
pointless
year
and
I've got a
was
lot of stuff
closed
for
in
as well.
1909. So not only did it never see Piccadilly trains, but its existence barely overlapped with that of the Piccadilly line. The site of the station
No.
is now Hounslow Bus Station. And that's all of them. All of the closed stations on the Piccadilly line, and more besides. It's enough to make a fellow feel a little blue. Well, I do hope
Cat
you
Fisto
enjoyed
from
this
2012
tale from the
and
tube.
Luke Skywalker
If
from
you did,
2010.
please do leave a
They're good
like,
to go
and
back
it would be
onto
very
the
helpful
shelf.
if you'd subscribe if you haven't already. I would like as ever to thank
All
my
that's going
donors on
straight into the box.
Patreon and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the better location to
There's
my poorly
Palpatine
situated
and the
station.
Gungan and the Ugnaught are all good to
And
go.
I will see you all again.
This is a big pile of figures, which I'll show you in a second. We'll be getting them back on the shelf, so that will be quite a bit of content. Or there's life left in this live, so don't worry. Like we are an hour and a half in, but I'm going to be going for a little bit longer. Like having all the sets on the shelf does look cool, but the figures add something else to it. Plus, a lot of these figures in my collection are some of the rarest ones. Pretty cool figure here from 2011. We got Wattle. We got Grand Moff Tarkin from 2006. I'll be putting some background noise on in a minute. Right, those guys need to go back into the box.
Something that gets brought up a lot in urbanist circles is the question of whether urban public transport should
Not
be
free there that are good to go.
Now, in theory, I'm very much in favour of this. I spend an absolute fortune on tube, train and bus fares. It has been tried before in various cities, so why isn't it done everywhere? Now, in case you're new around here, I should emphasise that I'll be approaching this primarily from a London perspective. I live in London, it's the public transport network with which I'm most familiar. I cannot speak with much authority on other cities, although I will be talking about them, and I hope the points I'm making will be generally relatable.
Do you know what? There's a lot of figures that are on the shelf. There's a lot of figures that I've separated out to the side to go back on the shelf, and you can still see how full the box is.
The cost of living is high, and fares can put a serious dent in your income. You could be paying hundreds of pounds a month. In
Check
a big
this.
city where housing is typically also very expensive, it's a bit much.
So that's all the figures, right, that are going to go back on the shelf for the remainder of the stream, right? Is how much of a dent we've realistically made in the box. That's kind of insane.
It's not always easy to get politicians to see it that way, and it's even harder to get transport operators to see it that way. But that is the thing.
Oh.
The availability of public transport or not.
Right, we're going to start to get them back on the shelf, and then we're going to call it the end of the stream, purely because it is getting on a bit late-wise, but I'll show off some of the cool ones.
The expansion of cities.
Rancor.
London is a prime example of this. Other priorities in cities all over the world are improving air quality and reducing congestion. Papers will sometimes rant about war on the motorist, but I recently attended a talk by a member of a London Borough Council, I'm not going to name them, but it was an inner city borough, who explained that actually, yes, they are totally at war with the motorist. Or rather, they're doing everything they can to make driving unattractive, to reduce congestion and pollution. In boroughs such as this, the majority
Right, so I keep reaching for that box automatically. The hand and carbonite goes on a little clip in the back of Jabba's palace, so I'm just trying to get that in there.
But if I might be permitted to editorialise here, if you're going to give people the stick, you also have to give them the carrot. That is to say, if you're going to make driving unattractive, you need to make public transport attractive. And a free ride is very attractive.
We can have a look, because he's one of the UCS Falcon figures.
It's a way of
There, we get this pilot on over here.
beneficial to the poorest sections of society. For those who absolutely have to drive, they have clearer roads. It has been tried.
We've got General Crux Medine.
Luxembourg, for example, made all public transport within the country free. Granted, it is a very small country.
We have Grand Moff Tarkin, he can go up here for the other Imperial officers.
Live and work there.
Nah, he should go next to Vader in the Star Destroyer. That would look better. All these Imperial... I have so many goddamn Imperial astromechs, it's weird. So one of the Rebel astromechs, he can go on the side of the X-Wing for now.
Of course, there are what we might call semi-free services. You might say free to people over or under a certain age, or free to students, or...
So we've got Colmore's R2, he's going to go in the Y-Wing.
buses, which are relatively
The Astromech slot.
short distance services, but much for rail. There are many variants on the concept, but I hope I've given
I'd be careful putting it in there because that's actually spring loaded. This is the... I showed earlier, this is the Astromech that says he didn't use it actually put in the socket of the Starfighter.
commercial entities might sponsor public transport as a means of generating goodwill.
Got another one of these Han Solos from the Home One, I'll put him there. Clone Wars Anakin, again, another Jedi variant. From the Clone Wars, it can go on the primarily Clone Wars shelf. Another Imperial Astromech. I have, again, a ridiculous amount of those. Commander Grey from the Clone Wars, he can go up here, sorted. Got the Sand Trooper from 07. We'll walk over here and deal with him.
I've had to wait to get on the bus because some guy is explaining that he lost his Oyster card and he swears he's going to get another one, but he's just going 2 stops, just this once, etc., etc. Not to mention all the times a ticket inspector runs into a passenger who decides to get a bit leery about the fact that they haven't bought a ticket. Frankly, I'm amazed ticket inspectors don't all go postal. Anyway, fare dodging obviously isn't an issue if there are no fares.
Hondo's going to go in his tank.
Plenty of people opposed to the concept.
We've got Luke, the modern Bespin version.
Against public transport generally, we'll ignore them for the time being. The most obvious barrier is money. It's hard to wring money out of central government in the UK, in large part because there just isn't much money. In the specific case of London, transport is not funded.
Where am I going to put this Luke?
TfL is expected to pay for itself. Big transport projects are often funded by loans, but that's not really practical to fund a long-term strategy that, by its very nature, will not make money directly. The most common piece of
We've got Star Killer. Now, Star Killer has to go up here with the Imperial stuff, obviously. We've got that other Han Solo, but that one I'm going to put with the Endor stuff. I have to stand up here to see where the hell the studs are for the minifigure. I'll see you. Thanks for joining in, though.
Now, this was not free transport, but it was an attempt to make fares more affordable through subsidies paid for by tax. What brought it down was the Council of Bromley, one of the boroughs within London. They argued that they were being taxed to pay for the London Underground, which did not enter the borough, and therefore it was unfair. So the policy was ruled illegal and scrapped. I made a video about
There we go.
years ago. It was not very detailed. Maybe I should remake it now, but let me know what you think.
And I've knocked the figure down. Let's hit another figure. I hate when I do that. It's like I would go buy a whole bunch of the CMF stands, but I kind of feel that would make it look cluttered.
Becomes harder to monitor usage of transport. Ticket barriers and readers are a concrete source of information on how many people are using a particular form of transport and at what times. If no one is paying fares, that's much harder to do. An interesting argument that I heard put forward.
Qui-Gon Jinn from 2012. He's going to go on the Gungan sub. That's the set he comes from. I have Queen Amidala there, but I need to get her headpiece and stuff sorted. Endor Rex, of course, is going to go up near the Battle of at the Battle of Endor, rather.
The point they were making was
This is Leia from
stations and so forth more.
Leia that flies at my hand, apparently.
I'm not sure about that myself. Some people
Is going to
to trash the place, whatever you
go there. I mean, actually, do it? No, I should put the 2011 Falcon figures near the set. That's one of those nostalgic sets that I like. The subsets, even if it doesn't work with my display, I will put the figures next to it. Just if I have a certain nostalgia for those figures being with that set, which, I'll be honest, there's a lot of cases like that. Right, should I?
70% of journeys in Luxembourg are still made by car. So despite everything, it was not that effective.
Right, nah, that wouldn't work for the Cloud City shelf. I'm not going to do that this time.
It's not like other countries, as I said before, but it is an alternative perspective. Normally,
I can always change things. Like, nothing I'm doing right now is like the set in stone version. Like, some of it will be, some of it won't be. It varies. Just look with the back of the tank, so he's going all the way back there in the Hoth base.
But it's clear that there's a massive gap between theory and practice, so
501st Clone, we can get him next to the ATRT. Phase 2 Rex, I'll go in front of all those guys. That will look decent.
well, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the fairness of my fares. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.
There we go. I'm just trying to get a little bit of speed about me as well. I'm being completely honest, because I don't know if this stream will make the 2-hour mark. There is other stuff I want to do this evening that might not include streaming necessarily. Plus, I'll be honest, we're not actually too far off that 2-hour mark. But it's more so my phone as well. The battery percentage is also gradually going down, or has been. I didn't start with a full battery, so it could become a conflict of interest. But regardless, like, I gave a stream that's so far been over an hour longer than the last couple of days. So like with that alone, I am happy.
Olympia is a strange station, isn't it? I mean, it takes up a lot of space, but it's only 3 platforms, and one of them isn't even in use most of the time. It's on the edge of Kensington, but it's the least served tube station in London. Oh, but it gets stranger. It used to be one of the most important stations in London. It could have been an international station.
One second.
Very well, it could have been the departure point for the last train ever. So, let's wait for ages at Earl's Court, get annoyed, take a train to Wimbledon, change at West Brompton, and head to Kensington Olympia. These days, Olympia is served by the Mildmay line of the
I'm just gonna change this a little bit to like kind of center type important people. And you know, your Laurens there as well. I think I'd rather have the original clone troopers in front of the gunships, kind of like front and center kind of thing.
This is actually the third attempt to build a station
Yoda.
on that line. This line began as the Birmingham, Bristol and Thames Junction Railway, which was authorised in 1836. This was the Wild West of railway.
This is like old school Lego Yoda, so he's going
Build a
there.
railway now, ask whether it's actually useful later. The Birmingham,
Got another
Bristol,
phase 2 clone trooper to go in front of my turbo tank.
Bristol,
I gotta love, like, even though I wasn't collecting Lego in that era, I've a lot of nostalgia for the 2005 clone style. Just from seeing it years ago on YouTube, people would have big armies of these and use them in stop motion, all the early Lego stop motions, before all the Clone Wars style stuff came out. Another one of those clones, just... Towards the end of the stream, I'll take the phone round and show the whole thing that we've been working on.
The hard water in the area meant that the engine quickly got furred up with limescale. They had no luck with water because the line also suffered from flooding. It opened in May 1844, and this may come as a shock to you, did really badly.
Right.
Close to passengers in December
I'm debating how much longer we're going to let the stream go on for at this point, if I'm being completely honest, because I am starting to get tired. But man, I've been up since like 5 AM, mostly because I had to go to work and stuff.
have been put on to meet the trains. The meetings have been strictly private, no one having been present but the driver of the omnibus and the guard. This might have been satire, but it is true that by November the line was carrying an average of 8 passengers a day.
But this stream has done really well.
Problems was the location of Kensington Station. Even back then, Kensington was seen as a desirable place to serve, but the original station was built in the basin of the Kensington Canal, quite a long way from what was considered to be
Security battle droid, we'll go over here.
This was opened in 1840. In 1844, they built a new one just south of the current Olympia station.
There's some other stuff, like in tomorrow's show, I'm going to finally wire up the PS2 because I've not used it yet. It's like this. So, obviously, right, I've moved on to a modern TV, a smart TV, right? My PS2 doesn't do HDMI, but I'm a retro gamer, so I picked up this HDMI to AV converter thing, so hopefully I have some luck with that. We've got original Count Dooku here, so he's going to go... So what, I'll actually have him on this shelf down here. Like, it doesn't make too much sense, but as I figured I'd like to have, like, in regular view. So I'm just taking figures off at random to put back on the shelf. Looking good though, got Rizal Stance, put her in Jabba's palace. Right guys, I am going to quickly go use a toilet, I'll come back and we'll decide from there how much life the life has in it.
It would provide a connection for trains from just about anywhere in mainland Britain. As a result, a new line was opened as a partnership between the London and North Western Railway, which the London and Birmingham had become part of, the London, Brighton and South Coast, the London and South Western Railway, and the Great Western Railway, or the LNWR, LBSC, LSWR and GWR, because there are only so many times I can say the word railway before it
I'm
loses
just
all
going
meaning.
to use the
The
toilet, then
extension
I'm
was
going to put
built
my plate
using
in
the
the
bed of
dishwasher.
the disused and
Right, I'm
stinky
going to put my plate
Kensington
in a
Canal
minute and
and
just use
opened
the
on
toilet.
the 1st of April 1863. With that came a new station, which at the
Right.
time was known as Addison Road, but you would know it as Kensington Olympia. You know the station this video is about. Lots Lots of railways wanted to get in on this, as well as the partners, the South Eastern Railway and the London, Chatham and Dover ran trains here. In 1864, the Metropolitan Railway built a branch from near Latimer Road to the West London line. Weirdly, they didn't run their own trains here, at least not at first. It was a joint venture with the GWR, built as part of the Hammersmith and City line. Speaking of the GWR, their presence created a bit of a problem. The London and Birmingham Railway had been engineered by Robert Stephenson, and the GWR had been engineered by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, two giants of Victorian railway engineering with radically different ideas of how railways should be. Stephenson's railways were built to a gauge of 4 feet 8.5 inches, what is now standard gauge in Britain. Brunel's were built much wider, 7 feet and 1/4 inch, and this meant that anywhere the GWR shared tracks, the rails had to be laid to a mixed gauge, capable of holding both kinds of train. It was a pain, and eventually a parliamentary commission would rule against the broad gauge, with the GWR converting the last of their track in 1892. Ironically, Stephenson and Brunel were actually good friends. Anyway, long story short, there had to be mixed gauge track at Addison Road. Addison Road was originally planned to be very different from the station that was actually built. It was intended to be south of the road bridge rather than north as it is now. It would have had passageways leading all the way to Brompton Road, which, to put that into perspective, would have meant that the southernmost entrance would have been beyond West Brompton Station, which is currently the next station down the Mildmay line. The station as built incorporated sidings for locomotives to change over, and also sidings for carriages to be unloaded. What I mean by that is wealthy folk would sometimes put their carriages, the kind that run on roads, onto a flat wagon which would be hitched to a train. The station had a wooden building which was apparently quite substantial. Initially there was only one platform though, with a crossover to allow trains to change direction. In 1868, a line from Richmond via Hammersmith would join the West London. There was no exhibition centre, and what was there was the Royal Vineyard. It was basically the countryside here. Kensington was really a village compared to what it is now, but that would soon change. The railways would bring expansion. Soon, Addison Road would be surrounded by houses, their occupants drawn to the vast array of services from the local station. Soon that one platform would prove inadequate, and another platform would be added on the west side of the line, along with a locomotive turntable. There was also a refreshment room, which apparently smelled so bad that the station master claimed it made him ill, and he had to resign in 1872 from ill health. Also in 1872, an underground line arrived here. A proper one this time, none of this namby-pamby building a connection and then not using it nonsense. This was the District Railways line from Earl's Court. It didn't use the bay platform as it does now, that wasn't finished, and indeed wouldn't be until 1947. In 1885, the Royal Agricultural Hall Company built their exhibition centre here, the one you know as Olympia London. And this, of course, increased traffic even further at the station. As well as passengers, there was a substantial amount of milk traffic here. In those days, milk was transported in metal churns, and residents on the west side of the station complained of the sound of clanging after 3 in the morning. Parcels trains were also frequent visitors. There was even the occasional royal train. It must have been something of a train spotter's paradise, with the possibility of up to 8 different companies' locomotives showing up here. At various times, passengers might catch trains to Victoria, Crystal Palace, Henley, Reading, Broad Street, Brighton, Dover, Southall, Croydon, Waterloo, Windsor, Moorgate, Euston, Ludgate Hill, and many other destinations. Trains seen here could be made up of first-class carriages to Channel ports, all the way down to cattle trucks for Smithfield Meat Market. But the 20th century would bring changing fortunes. The tram and underground networks were expanding rapidly. By the 1910s, the motor bus would also start making inroads, so to speak. Not that the staff at Addison Road were particularly worried. There were still plenty of passengers, particularly on exhibition days. Exhibitions required exhibits, and those arrived by rail. Early cars and aircraft put on show were a challenge for station staff. Personally, the show I'd like to have seen was the 1901 piece, simply described as a show of educated pigs. But the fact of the matter was that while exhibitions could bring in 30,000 passengers a day, the thing was that while you could get to many, many places from Addison Road and other stations along the West London line, the routes were often rather circuitous. Now that alternative modes of transport were appearing, faster or cheaper or both, people were less interested in the West London line. Still, the line remained a useful connection, and this would never be more apparent than at the outbreak of the First World War. Addison Road found itself used as an embarkation point for troop trains around the clock, as well as horses and artillery. Many of those men would not return, and many others would return injured. For the latter, ambulance trains were unloaded here. By 1917, up to 5 a day. Prisoners of war, too, were brought here and housed in the exhibition centre. Belgian refugees detrained here. Arguably, Kensington Olympia has never been more important than it was during that fierce conflict. The war ended in November of 1918, but the railways still had work to do. Everything that had been sent out...
Right then, I have decided we'll do a few more figures.
But then,
And then we'll end the stream. It's been a nearly 2-hour stream, so
in 1922,
I feel that that's understandable.
together,
Check notifications before we continue. Yeah, we're good to go. Right, let's see what we got here. 14 likes. That's one of the better ones that these guys have done. Half Rebel, a couple of Half Rebels here to do. So it's one, I think that's like the Rebel version of the Rebels I have the most of. It's because I've got one of those battle packs from 2010 sealed that I'm going to open and do a live build on. That number, my Hoff stuff's going to just grow further.
But the Army Catering Corps used it as a base during the Dunkirk evacuation. The station would be hit by bombs 4 times, with one destroying the buildings on the east side. Fortunately for Britain at the time, none of those bombs coincided with Churchill's
There you go.
journeys from the station. His special train
Right then, guys, we'll do this handful, right, that I have here, and then call it a stream, alright? So that's Jet Porkins. That is Wolf from Rebels. Where am I actually putting those figures? Crap, I don't know what I want to do with those yet. I'm just going to go here for now. I can always change it. Captain Rex from 2008 has to go up here. Wolf from Rebels is also going to go there. Right, now I do not have Gregor within this handful. Ayla Secura, but she's not the Clone Wars one, but she's going in this middle of all this kind of movie prequel era stuff. Obi-Wan from Attack of the Clones, the 2002 version. And the final figure that we're going to put on the shelf for this stream is a 187th controversy. Right, so I'm going to show you guys how far we got with the shelving before we go. So we start to fill out a lot of this up here. It's looking great. Didn't add anything in there, but this clone trooper section has grown. Keep in mind, there's a whole bunch of clone troopers inside the AT-OT. I even got a little bit of stuff changed in the cabinet. I'm going to start adding the custom clones that I've got in the collection around the base of the helmet. Also, that's all the other complete figures that are to go, but I hit the phone there, duh. But anyway, I want to thank everyone who's joined in. It's the first almost 2 hour live show done for a little bit. But I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know when. Just pay attention to the community tab. I'll post a couple more shorts tonight, most likely. But I will see you guys later on. Thank you very much for watching.